When M came on his third visit to the master. He had been profoundly impressed by his first two visits to this wonderful man. He had been thinking of the master constantly and of the utterly simple way he explained the deep truths of the spiritual life. Never before had he met such a man. Sri Ramkrishna was sitting on the small couch. The room was filled with devotees who had taken advantage of the holiday to come to see the master. M had not yet become acquainted with any of them, so he took his seat in a corner. The master smiled as he talked with the devotees. He addressed his words particularly to a young man of 19 named Mahendranath, subsequently world famous as Swami Nikhilananda. Narendranath was a college student and frequented the Brahmo Samaj. His eyes were bright, his words were full of spirit, and he had the look of a lover of God. M guessed that the conversation was about worldly men who looked down on those who aspired to spiritual things. The master was talking about a great number of such people in the world and about how to deal with them. Master, to Narendranath, how do you feel about it? Worldly people say all kinds of things about the spiritually minded. But look here, when an elephant moves along the street, any number of curs and other small animals may bark and make a noise, but the elephant doesn't even look back at them. If people speak ill of you, what will you think of them? Narendra, I shall think that dogs are barking at me. Master smiling, oh no, you mustn't go that far, my child. God dwells in all beings, but you may be intimate only with good people. You must keep away from the evil-minded. God is even in the tiger, but you cannot embrace the tiger on that account. You may say, why run away from a tiger which is also a manifestation of God? The answer to that is, those who tell you to run away are also manifestations of God. Why shouldn't you listen to them? Let me tell you a story. In a forest, there lived a holy man who had many disciples. One day he taught them to see God in all beings and therefore to bow low before them all. A disciple went to the forest to gather wood for the sacrificial fire. Suddenly he heard an outcry. Get out of the way, a mad elephant is coming. All but the disciple of the holy man took to their heels. He reasoned that the elephant was also God in another form. Then why should he run away from it? He stood still, bowed before the animal and began to sing its praises. The mahout of the elephant shouted, run away, run away! But the disciple didn't move. The animal seized him with its trunk, cast him to one side and went on its way. Hurt and bruised, the disciple lay unconscious on the ground. Hearing what had happened, his teacher and his brother disciples came to him and carried him to the hermitage. With the help of some medicines, he soon regained consciousness. Someone asked him, you knew that the elephant was coming. Why didn't you leave the place? But he said, our teacher told us that God himself has taken all these forms of animals as well as man. Therefore, thinking it was only the elephant God that was coming, I didn't run away. At this the teacher said, yes, my child, it is true that the elephant God was coming, but the mahout God forbade you to stay there. Since all are manifestations of God, why didn't you trust the mahout's word? You should have heeded the words of the mahout God. It is said in the scriptures that water is a form of God, but some water is fit to be used for worship, some water for washing the face, and some only for washing plates or dirty linen. This last sort cannot be used for drinking or for worship. In like manner, God undoubtedly dwells in the hearts of all, holy and unholy, righteous and unrighteous. But a man should not have dealings with the unholy, the wicked, the impure. He must not be intimate with them. With some of them he may exchange words, but with others he shouldn't go even that far. He should keep aloof from such people. A devotee. Sir, if a wicked person is about to do harm or actually does so, should we keep quiet then? Master. A man living in society should make a show of anger to protect himself from evil-minded people, but he should not harm anybody in anticipation of harm likely to be done to him. Listen to a story. Some cowherd boys used to tend their cows in a meadow where a terrible poisonous snake lived. Everyone was on the alert for fear of it. One day a brahmachari was going along the meadow. The boys ran to him and said, revered sir, please don't go that way. A venomous snake lives over there. What of it, my good children? Said the brahmachari. I am not afraid of the snake. I know some mantras. So saying, he continued on his way along the meadow. But the cowherd boys, being afraid, did not accompany him. In the meantime, the snake moved swiftly toward him with upraised hood. As soon as it came near, he recited a mantra and the snake lay at his feet like an earthworm. The brahmachari said, look here, why do you go about doing harm? Come, I will teach you a holy word. By repeating it, you will learn to love God. In this way, you will get rid of your violent nature and ultimately realize Him. Saying this, he taught the snake a holy word and initiated him into spiritual life. The snake bowed before the teacher and said, "Revered sir, how shall I practice spiritual discipline?" "Repeat that sacred word," said the teacher, "and do not harm anybody." As he was about to depart, the brahmachari said, "I shall see you again." Some days passed and the cowherd boys noticed that the snake did not bite. They threw stones at it. Still it showed no anger. It behaved as if it were an earthworm. One day one of the boys came close to it, caught it by the tail, and whirling it round and round, dashed it again and again on the ground and threw it away. The snake vomited blood and became unconscious. It was stunned. It could not move. So thinking it dead, the boys went their way. Late at night, the snake regained consciousness. Slowly and with great difficulty it dragged itself into its hole. Its bones were broken and it could scarcely move. Many days passed. The snake became a mere skeleton covered with skin. Now and then at night, it could come out in search of food. For fear of the boys, it would not leave its hole during the daytime. Since receiving the sacred word from the teacher, it had given up injuring others. It lived on dirt, leaves, or the fruit that dropped from the trees. About a year later, the brahmachari came that way again and asked after the snake. The cowherd boys told him that it was dead. But he couldn't believe them. He knew that the snake would not die before attaining the fruit of the holy word with which it had been initiated. He found his way to the place and searching here and there, called it by the name he had given it. Hearing the teacher's voice, it came out of its hole and bowed before him with great reverence. "How are you?" asked the brahmachari. "I am all right, sir," replied the snake. But the teacher asked, "Why are you so thin?" The snake replied, "Revered sir, you ordered me not to harm anybody, so I have been living only on leaves and fruit. Perhaps that had made me thinner." The snake had become righteous. It could not be angry with anyone. It had totally forgotten that the cowherd boys had almost killed it. The brahmachari said, "It can't be mere want of food that has reduced you to this state. There must be some other reason. Think a little." Then the snake remembered that the boys had dashed it against the ground. It said, "Yes, revered sir, now I remember. The boys one day dashed me violently against the ground. They are ignorant after all. They didn't realize what a great change had come over my mind. How could they know I wouldn't bite or harm anyone?" The brahmachari exclaimed, "What a shame! You are such a fool. You don't know how to protect yourself. I asked you not to bite, but I didn't forbid you to hiss. Why didn't you scare them by hissing? So you must hiss at wicked people. You must frighten them lest they should do you harm, but never inject your venom into them. One must not injure others." In this creation of God, there is a variety of things: men, animal, trees, plants. Among the animals, some are good, some bad. There are ferocious animals like the tiger. Some trees bear fruit, sweet as nectar, and others bear fruit that is poisonous. Likewise, among human beings, there are the good and the wicked, the holy and the unholy. There are some who are devoted to God and others who are attached to the world. Men may be divided into 4 classes: those bound by the fetters of the world, the seekers after liberation, the liberated, and the ever free. Among the ever free, we may count sages like Narada. They live in the world for the good of others, to teach men spiritual truth. Those in bondage are sunk in worldliness and forgetful of God. Not even by mistake do they think of God. The seekers after liberation want to free themselves from attachment to the world. Some of them succeed and some do not. The liberated souls, such as the sadhus and the mahatmas, are not entangled in the world, in woman and gold. Their minds are free from worldliness. Besides, they always meditate on the lotus feet of God. Suppose a net has been cast into a lake to catch fish. Some fish are so clever that they are never caught. They are like the ever free. But most of the fish are entangled in the net. Some of them try to free themselves from it. They are like those who seek liberation. But not all the fish that struggle succeed. A very few do jump out of the net, making a big splash in the water. Then the fishermen shout, "Look, there goes a big one." But most of the fish caught in the net cannot escape, nor do they make any effort to get out. On the contrary, they burrow into the mud, net and all, and lie there quietly thinking, "We need not fear any more. We are quite safe here." But the poor things do not know that the fishermen will drag them out with the net. These are like the men bound to the world. The bound souls are tied to the world by the fetters of lust and greed. They are bound hand and foot. They think that woman and gold will make them happy and give them security. They do not realize that this will lead them to annihilation. When a man thus bound to the world is about to die, his wife asks, You are about to go, but what have you done for me? Again, such is his attachment to the things of the world that when he sees the lamp burning brightly, he says, "Dim the light, too much oil is burning," and he is on his deathbed. The bound souls never think of God. If they get any leisure, they indulge in gossip and foolish talk, or they engage in fruitless work. If you ask one of them the reason, he answers, "Oh, I cannot keep still, so I am making a fence." When time hangs heavy on their hands, they perhaps start playing cards. There was a deep silence in the room. A devotee: "Sir, is there no help then for such a worldly person?" Master: "Certainly there is. From time to time he should live in the company of holy men, and also go in solitude to meditate on God. Furthermore, he should practice discrimination and pray to God for faith and devotion. When a person has faith, he has achieved everything. There is nothing greater than faith." Master to Kedar: "You must have heard about the tremendous power of faith. It is said in Purana that Rama, who was God himself, the embodiment of the absolute Brahman, had to build a bridge to cross the sea to Ceylon. But Hanuman, his devotee trusting in Rama's name, cleared the sea in one jump and reached the other side. He had no need of a bridge." Once a man was about to cross the sea. Bhishana wrote Rama's name on a leaf, tied it in a corner of the man's wearing cloth, and said to him, "Don't be afraid, have faith and walk on the water. But look here, the moment you lose faith, you will be drowned." The man was walking easily on the water. Suddenly he had an intense desire to see what was tied in his cloth. He opened it and found only a leaf with Rama's name written on it. "What is this?" he said to himself. "Just the name of Rama." As soon as doubt entered his mind, he sank under the water. If a man has faith in God, then even if he has committed the most heinous sins such as killing a cow, a Brahmin, or a woman, he will certainly be saved through his faith. Let him only say to God, "Oh Lord, I will not repeat such an action," and he did not be afraid of anything. When he has said this, the master sang, "If only I can pass away repeating Durga's name, how canst thou then, O blessed one, withhold deliverance from me, wretched though I am? I may have stolen a drink of wine, or killed an unborn child, or slain a woman or a cow, or even caused a Brahmin's death, but though it all be true, nothing of this can rouse in me the slightest trace of fear, for through the power of thy sweet name, my wretched soul may still aspire even to Brahman's realm." Pointing to Narendra, the master said, "You all see this boy, he behaves that way here, but he is quite another person when he plays in the Chandni. A naughty boy seems very gentle when with his father. Narendra and people of his type belong to the class of the ever-free. They are never entangled in the world. When they grow a little older, they will feel the awakening of inner consciousness and go directly towards God. They come to the world only to teach others. They never care for anything of the world. They are never attached to a woman and gold. The Vedas speak of the Homa bird. It lives high up in the sky and there it lays its egg. As soon as the egg is laid, it begins to fall. But it is so high up that it continues to fall for many days. As it falls, it hatches and the chick falls. As the chick falls, its eyes open. It grows wing. As soon as its eyes open, it realizes that it is falling and will be dashed to pieces on touching the earth. Then it at once shoots up towards the mother bird high in the sky." At this point, Narendra left the room. Kedar, Prana Krishna, M, and many others remained. Master: "You see, Narendra excels in singing, playing on instruments, study, in everything. The other day he had a discussion with Kedar and tore his arguments to shreds." All laugh. Master to M: "Is there any book in English on reasoning?" M replies, "Yes sir, there is. It is called Logic." Master: "Tell me what it says." M was a little embarrassed. He said, "One part of the book deals with deduction from the general to the particular. For example, all men are mortal. Scholars are men. Therefore, scholars are mortal. Another part deals with the method of reasoning from the particular to the general. For example, this crow is black. That crow is black. The crows we see everywhere are black. Therefore, all crows are black. But there may be a fallacy in conclusion reached that way. For on inquiry, one may find a white crow in some country. There is another illustration. If there is rain, there is or has been a cloud. Therefore, rain comes from a cloud. Still another example. This man has 32 teeth. That man has 32 teeth. All the men we see have 32 teeth. Therefore, men have 32 teeth. English logic deals with such inductions and deductions. Sri Ramakrishna barely heard these words. While listening, he became absent-minded. So the conversation did not proceed far.